Okay, I just had to respond to this, I believe to be sarcastic video from John Harris. John Harris here says, never talk to women, ever. And in what I believe is sarcasm, he lays out some of the red pill style objections that men have raised about the difficulty in finding a woman these days, marriage formation difficulties. And he says, you know what, just don't do it. Don't talk to them. Don't talk to women, ever talk to women. Instead, we'll just spend the rest of our life playing video games, and that'll be good enough. If we let civilization die, that's good enough. And this is what I believe to be a well-intended joke to Christian men to try to get them to wake up. I've heard this a million times in a million different ways. Get off the couch, young Christian man. Go talk to a woman. Go ask for her phone number. As if the Christian men hadn't thought of that, right? Like, oh man, I never thought of that. I should just stop playing video games long enough to go ask the girl for her phone number. That'll do it. I think John Harris has a point that some of the red pill guys extremely over-exaggerate the effects that they are suffering from in modern society. But they have a point. The red pill guys have a point. And what John Harris is doing right here is not addressing those points. Instead, what he's doing is mocking. He's mocking those points. He is laughing at those men. And I remember when it wasn't too long ago that John Harris was part of the guys who seemed to be trying to encourage young men. Rather than mock them, he seemed to be friends with and in the scene of the Christian masculinity type of people. The ones that said, actually, it's okay to be a man. It's good to be a man. And here's how to be a man. But now he seems to be more in alignment with the type of sort of mocking and belittling that we have seen from many in Christianity for a long time. And it looks a lot like this video. Man, if you guys would just get off the couch, stop caring about video games, and just talk to a girl, then all of our problems would be solved. Well, as someone who is a single Christian man, let me just share some of my experience. It's not that easy. It is not that simple. The problem we are facing right now is not that the men are too lazy or too scared or too weak to ask a girl for her phone number. That is not the problem we are facing right now. There are certainly many things that can be said about young Christian men, areas where they've done, they're in the fault, they're in the wrong. But, and this is where it really is tough. It's really hard to say this, but it's true. The problem is mostly the women. I hate to say that because it sounds defensive. It sounds accusative. It sounds like I'm projecting and putting out there, you know, my issues are the problem of those evil women. But there are too many statistics, too many stories, too many anecdotes, and too much evidence in favor of this analysis for me to not be confident when I say the problem is not the men, it's the women. Just recently, and sort of coincidentally, one of the right-wing Twitter's big guys, Kang-min Lee, Korean, has posted a video about being fired from his job again for his conservative beliefs. Evan Loves Worf is a big left-wing Twitter guy, and he's making fun of him, saying, I was fired for my conservative beliefs, and these are the beliefs. And then he posts this tweet because this is supposed to be so outrageous and so disgustingly evil that, of course, he should get fired for this. Let's look at what Kang-min Lee said to get himself fired from his job. Kang-min says, I know this is unpopular, but after seeing how the vast majority of the demons celebrating the murder of Charlie Kirk were women, again, I'm going to repeat that. The vast majority of the demons celebrating the murder of Charlie Kirk were women. Do you believe that, Anon? Did you see that? Do you think Kang Min is wrong to say that? I don't think he is. Unfortunately, I think this is true. I think the females and the female adjacent guys, the fags, the female adjacent guys and the women made up the majority of those laughing and celebrating Charlie Kirk's murder. I saw it. It didn't surprise me. I don't think it really surprises anyone if they are honest to see that the majority of the worst of the progressive far left are women, are females, and female adjacent guys. I think Kang Min is right about that, but let's go on. After seeing that, Kang Min says, I've realized that repealing the 19th cannot be a suggestion, but must be a necessity to save civilization. Women untethered from good masculine authority become the worst hags and psychopaths, with their emotions and neuroticism weaponized for destructive purposes because it is not in accordance with their God-given design to be birthers of life and their husband's helpmate. Then, giving these miserable people political power has been a tragic mistake. Reminder that only 4% of women during the time of suffrage wanted the right to vote. That's a good tweet. I think that's a good tweet. I wonder what John Harris thinks of this tweet. I know he certainly would not put it in these words because these are offensive words to the mainstream political beliefs. But I think John Harris hopefully would agree with pretty much all of this because this is pretty biblical, actually. It is true in the Bible that women are designed to be the birthers of life and their husband's helpmate. Is that not true, Christian man? Have you not read the verses that say pretty much that? Is it not true that in the New Testament it says that women will be saved by childbearing? Is it not true that in Genesis God says that the woman was created to be her husband's helpmate? I don't think I need to go through the verses. I think my audience here should know that this is true. This is what the Bible says of women. But now this is so offensive that this man can lose his job over it, and the leftists will look at this and say, well, here, let me just post what he said because it's that evil. Everybody who follows me will know, of course we should fire people who say things like this. That's how far gone we are into women's liberation. But women's liberation has not just ruined politics, it's also ruined marriage formation. It wasn't that long ago that the idea that a woman should be a free agent in the sexual marketplace would seem laughably insane. A woman should not be a free agent in the sexual marketplace. In fact, just the idea of there being a sexual marketplace is disgusting, anti-Christian, and evil. Women are not good at choosing their mates because women are very emotional. We see here their emotions and neuroticism can be weaponized for destructive purposes, and one of those destructive purposes are ruining marriages, either the formation of marriage or a divorce. That is one of the ways that their women's emotions and neuroticism have destroyed marriage formation in this country. Let me share a few anecdotes. I was talking to a friend today, and he said that at a wedding, he had met a cute girl, asked her to dance, and got a lot of positive feedback from her. So he started hanging out with her that night, and he said, are you seeing anybody? And she gave him some non-committal answer, like, oh, well, I don't know, kind of, not sort of, I'm not sure. So he thought that was weird, but he kept getting positive feedback from this girl. So he kept dancing with her, and he was getting a lot of good response, so he was excited until the end of the night, the girl's friend came up to him and said, so sorry, but she has a boyfriend that she's been seeing for a couple years. Oh, okay. Well, maybe she just wanted to have a good night, or maybe she was just too awkward to tell him no. But there are so many stories just like that one that I could share, where women just are not participating in what we could call the sexual marketplace as good faith agents. They're not holding up their end of the bargain, so to speak. They're not negotiating transparently. And men can do this as well. But my point here is that there shouldn't be a negotiation in the first place. We should not be forming marriages based on an open-ended, loose libertarian situation where maybe someday this could lead to a family. That is a terrible, horrific degradation of the sanctity of marriage and what that is, which is ultimately the image of Christ and his bride. That's what marriage is in the purest spiritual form. It is the image on earth of Christ and his bride. The husband being Christ and the wife being the bride, the church. That's a beautiful thing, an important thing. But now if you take that seriously, you're a sucker in the marketplace. You're a simp. You're going to get run over by every woman because they don't respect you. They're looking for the Giga Chad, the 5%er who is incredibly disagreeable and a billionaire. That's who you're competing with in the mind of the modern woman. Now, John Harris also mentioned the church, and he said even if you go to a good church where you speak to her husband and then you go on chaperoned dates, he was saying even if you did this, then you're probably going to end up divorced at age 35 or something like that. I think that's not true. I haven't heard too many Christians saying this, so if that is going around, I would agree with John Harris on that point. I think if you actually go to a church where you know people and you speak to the father and you know the family and you go on chaperone dates and you married the woman before you even kissed her, the chances of you getting in a divorce are way lower than anywhere else. Here's the problem. That barely exists anymore, John. That does not exist very much anymore. The guys in Ogden are trying to build Christian boroughs because Christian boroughs do not exist. They don't exist. I had to visit 10 or more different churches in my small town before I found one that was even close to kind of something like that. And I drive 40 minutes into the country to find that. And I'm an outsider, so I'm not really welcome to join the dating pool in quite the same way as if I had grown up there. There is an entire generation of urban, suburban, American Christian men who do not have that option. Do you understand me? They do not have that option. That is a culture thing that does not exist for most men in our country. It just doesn't. It doesn't. I have never dated a woman who had that kind of relationship with her father. Ever, including Christian women. I've never dated a woman. In every romantic relationship that I've been in, if I was going to speak to her father, it was going to be kind of a awkward and perfunctory sort of formality that we would kind of laugh about. And go, oh, wow, you talked to her dad, ha, ha, ha. That's the norm, even in Christian circles. The kind of conservative marriage formation you're talking about is extremely, vanishingly rare. And so most of the guys who are going to watch your video are not in this situation you're imagining where they go to a good church, they have a good community, there are girls right there who they can marry, but they're too lazy playing video games to go talk to them. That's just not the case. It's just not the case. And even if it was, you making fun of them on the internet is not what they need. They need help in real life from people they really know because I hate to say it, they're weak. They're weak. And sending weak men off to the battlefield is sending them to their death. You need to discipline them, disciple them, grow them, love them. Iron sharpens iron as they grow stronger and stronger, and then maybe they will be the man that they need to be to marry that woman. That's what we need. We need encouragement, not mocking. And we need, especially from the married men, an acceptance of how bad things really are. Because it is pretty bad out there. And the incels were right all along. The red pill guys were right all along. They were not Christian, and so they've all devolved and destroyed themselves upon their rocks of their own sin because they have no foundation in God. But where are the Christians that are saying the true things that the red pill guys and the incel guys were right about? Where are those people? Where are those people? I thought John Harris was one of them, but seems like maybe he's not.